Dear viewers, one question I often get is what is the use of the amp meter in the Classic 350? The Classic 500 doesn't have the amp meter anymore, neither does the Bullet 500. Now, before I answer that, let me briefly explain first what an amp meter is. An amp meter is an ampere meter which basically measures the flow of the current and its direction. Now, when the current is flowing either way, it will show whether it's positive or negative. Now, let me explain why we have the amp meter in this bike and how you can use it. Now, first of all, the amp meter, to be very honest, does not have much use anymore. In the old Bullet, when the ignition was on and the amp meter was in the middle, it would show that the CB points were together, which would mean that the piston was in the top dead center and it was much easier to kick start the bike. With the new unit construction engine, that is not the case anymore. Hence, the amp meter doesn't actually show the top dead center of the piston or where the piston is. Now, the only thing in this bike the amp meter will be showing is whether the engine is producing enough current and whether it's recharging the battery or not, and that's it. Now, let me give you some demonstration. Now, obviously the engine is off at the moment, hence the bike is not actually producing any currents at all. So let me turn the ignition on. So the ignition is on, you can see the neutral light, and the amp meter is in the middle, meaning that the engine is not charging or discharging the battery at any rate. Now, if I turn the pilot lamps and the parking light on, you'll see the amp meter moved to the left, to the negative, which means that the battery is discharging at the moment. If I turn the headlights on, you'll see it is discharging at a much faster rate at the moment. Now, obviously, because the engine is not on, if I leave it like that, over time the battery will get discharged. Now, I'll start the bike up. Now, as you can see, when I started the bike up, the engine started charging the battery, hence the amp meter moved from middle to right, meaning that the engine is at this point in time charging the battery at a higher rate than it's discharging. What I'll do now is turn the headlights on and see what happens to it. I'll turn the pilot's lamp on first. Now the pilot lamps are on, and as you can see, the amp meter is in the middle, meaning that again the engine is charging and discharging at an equal rate. I'll turn the headlights on, and as you can see that the battery is discharging at this point in time at the idling speed. However, unlike before, it's not discharging at a very high rate. Now if I accelerate the engine, you'll see that the amp meter will go beyond the middle line, meaning that the battery will be getting charged again. We'll turn the headlights off. So the pilot lamps are on now. Everything is off right now. Even if I press the brake, you'll see the amp meter will slightly move. See that? So it basically shows that the battery is discharging at a faster rate right now. So in short, in the new Classic 350, you can basically use the amp meter to figure out two things. Number one, how is your battery doing, whether the battery is good or bad. Because if you see that the battery is if you see that it is discharging all the time, that can mean either two things: either the battery is bad or the alternator is not giving enough charge to the battery. And the second thing, you can find out whether your alternator is good or bad, because if the alternator is bad, it won't be charging the battery properly, or the ammeter will be in negative or positive all the time. That if it is in positive most of the time, it will basically mean that the engine is overcharging the battery. And that's basically the only use of the ammeter these days. If you have any more questions, or if you want to add some more information to this video, please feel free to add that in the comment. Thank you very much for watching the video.